Hi guys, it's your boy Gadget Man 404 here, and today's flight is an epic flight. This was done with my Mavic Mini, stock battery, no fancy business, no ND filters, no sun hood, no colour correction, just a voiceover. So, what is going to happen? Well, you're going to have to watch this to the end to see what happens, but this flight, guys, is with my 2.4 Yagis. I believe there's a guy on YouTube that sells these, and I think his channel name is something like Fly Explore DJI with Alex. I think that's his channel name, and he sells them for $19.99. He does do the 5.8s, I think, but they're completely different style, and I don't know the price of those because I was only interested in the 2.4s because I've got some parabolic dishes which I can use for 5.8 or 2.4, so I thought I'll use them on the 5.8 and I'll use the Yagis on the 2.4. So anyway, this flight is just to see how far can I go with the Yagis. Now my dog is being a pain in the arse and he wants to go out. So if you hear doors opening, it's because I'm letting my dogs in and out because they are a pain in the backside. And now I'm having a drink of my tea. So this is the River Trent. This is Barrow on Trent, this area. It's if you go over Swarkson's Bridge, take a right, just follow that road round, and eventually you go past the sailing club, and on the right hand side there's a lay-by, there's a pulling, I think it's called, there's a post pointing up the hill to, and it's called Stanton by, I think it's called Stanton by Bridge, or by the bridge. This little bit of water is what I normally fly over, and there's lots of pylons in there, and because I've never flown the Yagis far, I think the furthest I've flown is about 5,500 feet, so I thought to myself, instead of going to the right to come back on the left, just fly in a straight line, Craig. Just fly in a straight line and try and stick to land. So I flew over this bit of trees, etc., in case anything goes wrong going out. Bird attacks me, battery fails, propeller falls off, or whatever, and then it'll land on the ground. It might break it, but at least it can be repaired. Whereas if it lands in the water, I'm never going to get it back. It'll blow it up, and I'll never get it back. So this is why I decided to fly over the land on the way out. So when I was coming back, it will pretty much do the same route. It's a little bit off, as you'll see later on in the video, but it does work. Here's the dog barking in the back garden. I'm going to kill my dog. Okay, guys? I'm going to kill the bloody dog. He's a pain in the backside. Alfie! Get in and shut up. Get in now. Sorry about that, guys. Like I said, you're going to hear doors opening and closing because I've had to let my dogs in and out. Now, this little bit of water on the left, this is where Anchor Church is, guys. I don't know what this bit of concrete is on both sides of the River Trent, but Anchor Church is there. Now, I've been looking for Anchor Church for weeks and weeks and didn't realise until I played this video back, and also I went to where I thought Anchor Church was, and I managed to find it by a complete fluke. And then I realised that when I'd seen them concrete areas, I thought, wait a minute, I flew past them the other day, like last week. So that little stretch of water that veers off the main bend of the river, that leads you to Anchor Church, guys, and it's in Ingleby. The saying is that a monk called Saint Bernard from the St Mary's Benedict's Church or something back in the 1600s, he played a part in some crime. I don't know if death was from that crime or theft or whatever. Doesn't go into what he did. It just said he participated in a crime, and the landowner who owned that side of the river, found this building like an outcrop, which is just a natural formation of rocks that's been worn away by the river flow of the river over the years, because that's how far the river went back. It went back a lot further than it is now. Anyway, it's made loads of hollows out of these rock formations, and it looked like a structure. So they put doors and windows on it, and they turned it into a prison cell. And the monk is supposed to have been locked up in there for his penance until he was forgiven for his sins, etc., etc. But I don't know how many years or months or whatever that he was locked away in there. But if you look on Wikipedia, it says that he died in that cell. It was classed as a cell. Then they called it, I think they called it Anchor Church, because there was a monk in there and he was heard for miles around praying and, oh my God, you know, and they're doing all their, you know, practicing all their prayers and so on and so on. So there is something that says, because if you go on Wikipedia or just put in Anchor Church and it brings up loads of stuff, and one of the things is that there is some documentation in Repton Church which sort of talks about this monk that wasn't a saint, but because he died in his belief or whatever, I believe he was made a saint. This is about the third little bit of breakup that I got, so I just had to adjust my antennas. And I think at this point I'm hitting around about probably 10,000 feet, which is still a long way for the Mavic Mini, guys. I mean, 10,000 feet is epic range. And for such a little drone, and no ND filter, so unfortunately the sky's looking a bit blown out. I'm not going to colour correct that, I'm just leaving it as it is. The sun is facing me, you know, I'm flying into the sun, which is why the sky's looking so washed out. But you can see, because of all the shadows, the sun's sort of top left, and that's why the shadows are as they are. I can't say enough just how flipping amazing this little drone is. I mean, I've got 9,000 feet on 2.4 with no boosters, and that was on 2.4. On 5.8 with parabolic dishes, I got 11,000 feet, and I thought I'd never beat that. But this flight, guys, 13,500 feet, or 13,512 feet, this flight. So in total, 27,006 or 12 feet, because I think I did 13,506, yeah. So 27,012 feet, guys. And I still had battery left. I am coming up to where I can see pylons. You can see the pylon to my left and the pylon to my right, but the wires aren't going across the field, they're actually going down away. But I thought that they were going across, so I actually higher up. At my highest point, I got to 256 feet, guys, and that was normally the kind of height that I like to fly at is 200 and above. I never go up to the full 400. Now, this is classed, this area, don't know why, but it is classed as an altitude zone. But the app is saying you can fly no higher than 500 feet. Now, everybody knows in the UK that hobbyists can only fly up to 400 feet because manned aviation starts at 500 feet. So that's why there's 100 feet distance between unmanned drone pilots or hobbyists, planes, helicopters, etc., etc., and manned aircraft, gliders, that type of thing, paragliders. So why does DJI's app allow you to go higher than you're allowed to go anyway? If you was in an altitude restriction zone, then surely you shouldn't be allowed to go higher than if you're not in a restriction zone. If you can go up to 400 feet normally, If you're in a restriction zone, to me, it makes more sense that you can't go to 400 feet. You have to go below 250 or 300 feet. So I was never going to go to 500. One, you're not allowed to. And two, you're just not allowed to. You're not allowed to do 500 feet. So why do they say, oh, you can go up to 500? You can go up to 150 meters, and the distance, our cap, is 120 meters. So they're letting you go 30 meters more than what you're allowed to do in a normal zone. So that to me does not make sense. If anyone would like to leave a comment down below and explain to me why you can do 500 in a restriction zone, but you're only allowed to go up to 400 in a non-restriction zone, because that does not make sense to me. Maybe other countries have got different rules, but I live in the UK and I know because I did my online test, and that would be due to pay for, its yearly subscription, but a 2-yearly renewal in case anything's changed. That you can't go to 500 feet anyway, so why does it let you go to 500 feet? That to me, or 480 or whatever, does not make sense at all. That is total, what are they on about? But it lost connection at the 13,506 feet, guys. I was getting the red, the red icon that flashes, and then it says white signal, and then it flashes. So I knew I was getting a weak signal, but I didn't know it was going to lose signal completely. But to be honest, about 3/4 of the way up, it actually said at 60% battery that it was going to do a turnaround and fly back. Now that there was no wind, all I'm assuming is it was saying that to be sort of giving me a little bit of bumper of battery. Sort of don't fly over 50% because you're not probably going to get back. Which is why, that's one of the main reasons, guys, that I flew over land going out. So when I was coming back, there was more opportunity that if something was to go off, you do have control of the drone. If it was descending, you can still steer it, turn it left, right, yaw it, bank left, right, whatever. So if I was losing my battery, then I would have landed it on some land, and then I could have just got my map up and then walked to it somehow, drove to it, and then collected it. I didn't want to fly over a massive body of water after a long flight, and then I could have lost my drone in the water, so I wasn't taking that risk. So that's why I deliberately flew in the middle of that water that you can see now. I flew more down the middle, so on the way back I knew it would pretty much do a carbon copy of my out mission. If you fly around a bend, it isn't going to fly around the bend coming home. It's going to find the fastest point from A to B, but I pretty much just flew in a straight line. Now that building in between those trees in the sort of middle right of that screen, that is Anchor Church, guys, and there is a river, like a big lake, if you like, but it actually feeds from the main river, so it's supposedly it's a little bit of the river. Don't know how high and how far up it goes, but that building, that white blob that you can just make out there, that is Anchor Church. I highly, 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 guys, recommend, if you want to take some nice photos, get some nice drone footage, this area is amazing. You have a bit of a hike to find this place. It's in Ingleby. There is signposts for public footpaths, and you can walk to Anchor Church. It's a bit of a trek, but it's doable. But when you get to the bottom of the fields, be very careful, because there's 2 pieces of barbed wire that someone has put across. It's not a high fence, it's very low, just higher than your ankles. So if you're not looking, you could quite easily hit that, trip over, and hurt yourself very badly. Now, why do I keep looking up and down with the camera? Because I'm just looking at the numbers of the battery indicator. I know it changes from green to red and the numbers are green, but they're still quite small. I'm 47 years old, my eyes are probably due for glasses, but I'm sort of fighting the fact that I'm getting older, so I'm not going to wear glasses. So I will always turn my drone down by the camera just so I've got some contrast. So look at the green, I can see the numbers better than looking at the top of the screen. So that's why on the way out and on the way back, it's been going. There is no fault with the gimbal, it's all working fine. That's me just trying to keep track of the battery percentage. If my drone would have come down here, I could have gone to the left or gone to the right and landed it on these trees or even on that sandbank there, and then I would have had to have figured out, well, how do I get to here? But I'm sure there is a way without having to swim across the river. But yeah, I didn't have to do that anyway, so that's that. At this kind of point, I'm about 4,000 feet to get home. I'm at probably about 20%, 15% battery. I've gone from 256 to about 150 feet in height, and then when I get a bit further down here, I'm still looking down to see what the battery's doing, and then I lower to around about 100 feet, just because obviously when you're flying higher, the wind is stronger and it takes more battery. So I'm thinking get low, you're going to reduce the chances of losing the drone. I could have landed it in this field here if it come to it, and then somehow gone to the John Thompson pub a bit further up on the right, and I could have just cut across the fields and walked to my drone. It would have taken me an hour or two, but I would have found it in one piece anyway. What do you guys think of the Mavic Mini? What kind of ranges are you guys getting? I would highly recommend, if you like going far and you know, they're not an expensive outlay, Yagi antennas work and parabolic dishes work. You know, I got 11,000 feet with parabolics on 5.8, and on 2.4 with my Yagis I've got 11,500, 13,500. So over 27,000 feet, guys, which if you Google translate that range, I think it equivalates to 5.114 of a mile. So that's nearly 5.25 miles, but that's there and back, not out. That's there and back. And I still had battery left. I had 5% battery left when I landed the drone in my hand. This is always a nerve-wracking bit because you're getting low on battery and I've still got to fly across a river to get home. But it's just a lovely area, you know. There's a signpost pretty much where that road is, and I think it's Stanton by Bridge or Stanton by the Bridge. It's pointing up there, so I don't know if there is a bridge up there. There's a little humpback bridge, but I wouldn't class it as a bridge, but it does go over a bit of water. So that's probably what that is all about. I'm just down there to my right. I'm wearing a t-shirt that my niece and nephew got me, and it says, "I am not an uncle, I am a funkle." So I wore that while I was out, thinking, yeah, you know, I do wear this in public. Although there's not much public here, that isn't the reason I wore it. I wore it because I wanted to show my niece and nephew that I wear it while I'm doing drone missions. 27,000 feet, guys. Drop me a comment down below. What is your best range on a stock CE version Mavic Mini? Mine at the moment now broke my record of 11,000 feet and 13,500 feet. Would I try and get past that? It would have to be no wind and super calm, and you know, all that kind of thing into consideration. But that's what I think about it. What do you guys think? I've been Gadget Man 404. You guys have been amazing as always. Please subscribe to my channel, hit my notification bell on YouTube so you get notified of when I do uploads, and I'll catch you in the next one. Gadget Man 404 out.